What's up? This is George. Today we have boxing legend Audley Harrison. We're fortunate enough for Audley he lives in Calabasas. So Audley's going to be with us as often as possible, talking about what's relevant and new in boxing culture. So thanks to have you. Thanks for coming on, man.
No, my pleasure, man. Thanks for inviting me. And I'm close. Calabasas, I'm in Westlake, the next city over,
Yeah.
but I'm close. And this place is, you've created a great community here. So I'm glad to be a part of it. And yeah, anytime.
Thanks, man. Thanks, man. So tell me what, if you don't mind me jumping right into it, you've recently been thinking about getting into the getting back into the sport. Can you talk a little bit about some of the thoughts you have and kind of why you want to get back into the actual sport of boxing?
Yeah, so, I had my last fight 2013. I retired officially in 2015. My last fight against Deontay Wilder was
Yeah.
2013.
Oh,
So
Deontay.
yeah, so I walked away from boxing coming up from the Olympics. I'm like the first guy who was his own promoter, his own manager.
You were?
I was the first guy, yeah,
I
from
didn't
the
know that.
UK. So when I turned pro, my deal with the BBC, I was the first. I done my deal directly with the broadcaster. So I came out of the gate, promoter, manager, fighter, the whole shebang. But I put a team in place. So I had a promoter that was promoted. I had a manager, a fighter who was a manager, because you couldn't be your own. You couldn't be your own manager for the first 12 months.
That's right.
So I put somebody else in place. So everybody was still paying out big fees, but at least I got to see where all the money was going. So I had a promoter working for me, I had a manager working for me, a matchmaker, everybody working for me. So I got to learn the game
Yeah.
from the beginning, every facet of the game. Even though I was also the boxer in the gym training. So I had the boxing team and I had the business team. So it was like an amazing insights to go through that. So when I walked away in 2014, I was kind of burnt out. I was
Nice.
kind of burnt out from fighting the system, like, because as a promoter, when you had your own promotional contract, you're in control. In 2004, when I didn't have the contract, then I had to be fighting. I was still unbeaten. Actually, I came to America and I was with Al Heyman,
Yeah.
still unbeaten. So I had two fights with Al Heyman, which was amazing. Al Heyman was ahead of the game. Obviously, what he's done with Floyd and Jermaine Taylor and Vernon Forrest. Amazing.
Yeah.
So being a part of that was amazing. But I've just got so much experience, and even on the boxing side, Thel Torrance, Hall of Fame trainer who was with Eddie Futz for 40 years,
Yeah.
Buddy McGirt, Shadid
Yeah.
Saluki. So I had great trainers who taught me everything, like, because they said, this is the next Lennox, this is the next guy. So they soaked in training camps with like 6, 8 weeks, 10 weeks in training camp. They soaked everything. I was a sponge and I got given every nuance of the game. So when I walked away, it's like I walked away with a lot because it's all there,
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
watching these big fights every now and again, watching these big fights, and technically, seeing what the fighters are doing wrong, it just like it's just driving me crazy.
Yo, I didn't know. So you spent a lot of time with Lennox Lewis in your
Yeah,
day? I didn't know you
yeah,
said you were in Jamaica.
yeah. So what happened with Lennox is when I when I was fighting my Olympics, when I was in the Olympics, Lennox sent me a letter. He was in training camp to fight David Tua.
Yeah.
And obviously in the UK it was just like blowing up. I hadn't really met Lennox personally. We bumped into each other in a nightclub one time.
Yeah.
But he sent me a letter. I had ruptured my knuckle. I had ruptured my knuckle in the semi-finals. My knuckle tendon was totally ruptured. I had to get an injection in it for the final. I wouldn't be able to box. It was huge. So I kind of was feeling sorry for myself.
Yeah.
In the change room, it was like 10 out of 10. But I'm like, I am boxing this. They were trying to get me to pull out. I'm like, I am boxing this final no matter what.
Wow.
And they were like, oh, you can't box this final. The doctors are not going to improve you.
Yeah.
In boxing, you've got to be clean shaven in the amateurs.
That's right.
I because of that, from the semi-finals to the final, I was sitting in the back room and didn't get a chance to shave. I had my hand in the ice bucket, so I went to the doctors. I had a bit of a shave. The official doctors, the IBED doctors, not the Team GB, and he said, "Hey, you need to shave, Harrison. Go and shave." And he's holding my hands.
Yeah.
Had he saw my hand knuckle, I wouldn't have passed. I went off to shave. It was the day of the finals. It took me ages to find the shaver. Came back 30 minutes later, and he's like, "Oh, you've had 3 fights. You're good to go." Because they were rushing to get to the first fight.
Yeah.
The light flies. So I dodged the bullet, and I'm in the change room. Hand is killing me. I get a letter. They say,
Yeah.
"Oh, there's a letter." It's from Lennox Lewis. He's in training camp. Lennox sent me a letter. Said, "Hey, look, I'm so proud of you. You're doing an amazing job. The whole country's proud of you. Like from one Olympic champion to another, respect, you know." And it was just like a shot of adrenaline from I kicked off a door. There was a door. I kicked through a door, and I was like, nothing.
Stop.
And I went out there and destroyed the guy. So afterwards, Lennox invited me to Vegas for his fight with Tua. And we got connected. I got to meet all the owners of the hotel. They said, "Look, you're the Olympic champ, but this is the pro world, and this is what it looks like at the pro world." So I got, so we just became connected, and I went to a couple of the camps, and just getting those insights, having Lennox I could reach out to, and just
huge.
On the way up was amazing. Yeah, and I had so much blessings like that. Yeah.
While we're talking about it, and then I want to talk British boxing for a second, and then talk about what happened last weekend. Yeah. But tell me why it seems like British boxing is dominating at the heavyweight level, is dominating the sport right now.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. What's your opinion on why? And then who are the names that everybody should be paying attention to in British boxing, especially the heavyweight division? But why is British boxing? Why are the heavyweights dominating there? And then who should we be paying attention to that we might not know?
Right. So British boxing's always been there or thereabouts. We've always had good fighters. In every generation, we've had decent fighters.
Yeah.
Right. Right now, and I'm taking some of the credit for it, because part of the thing that's happened from the Olympics, me winning the gold medal changed boxing, because before that, boxing was a broke sport, so nobody could afford to do it as professionals. So that was my fight for boxing. So
built momentum.
When I won the gold medal, the first one in 32 years. It changed my life, but it changed boxing life. So then we became a funded sport. All the Olympic sports are funded except for boxing. So after the Olympics Sydney 2000, we got 4 million, and that 4 million allowed all the boxers to go pro. But stay amateur. So they built the Sheffield Institute of Sport, built all these teams, sports scientists, sports psychologists, cardio, everyone. We just stepped up our game.
So you're saying that now they could afford to stay amateurs, continue to develop themselves, but also become great pros. And
everybody was broke. I was in 1998 when I won the Commonwealth Games, which is like the Pan Am Games. Yeah. I was at university. I was £15,000 in debt. I'm like, I'm broke. Yeah. I'm 27 years of age. If you lot don't give me money, I'm going to win your gold medal in 2 years, but you have to give me money. I marched. I set up my own boxing union, and I marched to Parliament, and I fought for this funding. Got 500k for the team to train to qualify for the Olympics.
Wow.
So I don't want to blow my hump, but that's the truth. That's the reality. That's facts.
Yeah.
So after the Olympics, I went off, turned pro, became, done what I did. But the amateur game changed, because now all of these amateurs who were thinking about going pro, they didn't go pro.
Yeah.
So they stayed, and we became a boxing powerhouse. So in 2004, we had Amir Khan. He got a silver medal.
Yeah.
Okay. And even that, I flew from America, and I flew to the training camp. They asked me to help him out. He was fighting the Southpaw Mario Candelan. I spent a week in the Olympic Village with Amir Khan, showing him how to fight Southpaw. He was 7 years of age.
Wow.
He got a silver medal, in 2004. Yeah. 2008, we got 3 medals. We got Tony Jeffries got a medal, David Price got a medal at heavyweight, and one more got a medal. So we got 3 in 2008. So the program was coming to fruition, where all these guys and girls, because then the girls came in. So in 2012, Anthony Joshua got the gold, Nicola Adams got the gold.
Yep.
You saw the fruition of this world-class performance plan, and that's when we became a powerhouse. And obviously, good amateurs make good pros.
Yep.
So more and more fighters were coming through, developed. In the heavyweights, whereas normally those heavyweights are going to turn pro earlier, they all stayed amateur because of the Olympics. So Dubois was part of the program. He had sparred with there in the program. Joey Joyce was part of the program. So we started developing. We've always been good. We just didn't have enough infrastructure and support to make it happen. So what happened? Better amateurs lead to better pros. So that's the start of it. My gold medal in Sydney 2000 started at 100%.
Yeah.
So what's happening now after that, now you're getting these fighters coming through. The networks, Matchroom's done a great job. Now Frank Warren's in the game. He's kind of rebuilt him. He never went away. Frank Warren never went away.
He's always there.
He's always been hanging around, but he's rebuilt himself. So what you've seen is now, because the fighters in America and what's happening in America, they don't have the networks. ESPN went away, HBO went away, Showtime went away. So they're not having exposure. Obviously, UFC is doing an amazing job in America. It's a different audience. I've been to their fight, different audience, but that's galvanized. In the UK, not as boxing is still like running ahead, killing it. But UFC has a great market in the UK as well.
Yep.
So that started, like boxing started losing the appeal in America in terms of the networks and the options. Mm-hmm. And so that's what was happening in America. Is because it's always been America dominating with heavyweight.
Yep.
Heavyweight. It's always been America dominating.
American heavyweights.
So I remember when they tried to create a heavyweight, they done a heavyweight thing. Michael, who passed away, he was a movie producer. He was a movie director, and he set up an American, trying to find the next American heavyweight.
Oh yeah, I remember that was Michael King.
Michael King, correct.
He lived right around here.
But, yeah, and Michael King set up a great thing trying to find the next heavyweight. He invested so much of his money in there. He loved boxing, and I remember getting involved with it a little bit and just trying to help it through. But you can't really manufacture a heavyweight.
That's true.
It's like it's from the streets and the guy just comes through like a Tyson story, Riddick Bowe story, Shannon Briggs story, all the stories, your dad's story.
It takes a certain fabric.
Right, and you just come through the system. So England's got that now. They have where these kids can go to the amateur gym, they can go to the Olympic movement. And now the Olympics looks like it's gone, but they can go to the Olympic movement and then they can go pro. And when they go pro, they have an outlet with a promoter and a television network. So you can. America don't quite have that right. They're trying to fix that with the zones doing a great job of getting it back. But it's not. When I won the Olympics, the whole country knew who I was.
Now
6 million people knew who I was. The mums knew me. The Queen knew who I was. So I became a household name. Everyone knew Audley Harrison. Yeah. And in the old day, everyone knew Sugar Ray Leonard. Everybody knew George Foreman. Everybody. So that's part of it. So you get recognized for your talents because you have it swings over into you transversed into the normal community like Golden Boy, like Floyd Mayweather, and everybody knows who you are.
Yep.
And then that's what everyone knew who the boxing champion was. That's what America's kind of lost, and that's what I'm living. I'm like. That needs to happen. Like, send a press release to your local newspaper. That's what I used to do. Send a press release to your local newspaper and how to get a little story in the paper. Yeah. Join a church. There's all these little things that I did, which is why I'm coming back to boxing. Because not only do I know how to manage, because I manage myself, I know, because of my trainers, I know the training side too.
And the promotion side.
I know the whole shebang.
Yeah.
So why ain't I giving it back? Like I said, when I see the Joshua fight, I'm like, oh my God, technically, this is what he should be doing. I know 100% what he should be doing.
Yep.
Dubois, when Dubois fought Usyk, I'm like, I know exactly what he needs to be doing. In fact, I reached out to his team and I was working with them for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Just like going back on technique. Yeah, strategy. Just talking with them a little bit. And I see what they're doing wrong. So technically, strategically, they're but Audie didn't do it for himself. I know it. I know it like I know, like you get what I'm saying. I know it so well, and I want to get I'd like to walk away from it. And I've watched so many fights, even like I said, Deontay Wilder, like Tyson Fury. I'm just like, technically, I need to come back and just see if I can just put my seeds on somebody. And then promotional side, managing side. I've seen that as well. I'm like, God, this is who you should be fighting because the matchmaking, getting that right is an art. And a lot of people now...
Can I just make sure you guys heard that? Matchmaking is an art.
Yeah.
It's a lost art, but it's an art. And it's if you're a manager developing a fighter, picking his matches, that's one thing. Also, as a promoter, picking not just great fighters, but the guys that are going to get in the ring and create a great, exciting fight. It's an art. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's so important that... And unfortunately now, a lot of the managers in the game don't understand that, don't appreciate that, and they're picking fights for the promoters. They're not picking fights for the fighter. There's a fighter development. I used to sit with my matchmaker. I had Johnny Boss, who was a Hall of Fame matchmaker from New York. I had an English guy called Denny Mancini, Harry Holland, and I had a guy in Germany called Olaf Schroeder, who passed away. All of them passed away, actually. Unfortunately, they've all passed away. But these guys I'd sit with on the phone for hours, talking about why they'd be teaching me, this is, because I was my own boss.
Yeah.
So I'd be sitting with the matchmaker, and they'd tell me why this is the right guy for me. Like I'm in my fourth fight, I was getting pressure from the network. They were like, they're too easy. The opponents ain't big enough. They don't look good enough. They got me a guy called Julius Long for my fourth fight. Julius Long was 7-0 from Detroit. 6 foot, like couldn't make it in basketball. He was 6'9". No, he was 7'2", unbeaten from the ghetto of Detroit.
Yeah.
They brought him as my fourth opponent. I looked at him on video. I saw how bad his legs was, saw how bad his balance was. I was like, and back then I was like, I don't fear nobody.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? I don't fear nobody. And I looked at him and I saw all these mistakes and they told me why. Johnny Boss got in for me. I was like, perfect opponent. He came in, Olympic gold medal with my ass. He was just like
Talking
cussing
trash.
out.
Yeah.
The perfect guy, got everybody against him and got me so riled up, you know. Knocked him out in the third round. It was the perfect opponent. But my team, they looked at me like I was on drugs. They're like, what the hell are you doing with this guy?
That early, yeah.
Because they're like, this guy's dangerous. 7-0, 7 knockouts.
Yeah.
They're like, so when I convinced them why it ticks all the boxes, not just from a boxing development point of view, and why it's the right guy, that they came on board. But
you knew that was a guy that you could beat for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. I knew it was a guy because I was like, technically he makes all the mistake, but if I make the wrong mistake, he's gonna hit me with a shot and I'm out. Home
He's
time.
gonna be there.
Yeah, but it was that seeing his weaknesses. So it was that was the kind of thing like where I was. This is like I was my manager and I was the promoter, and it was the right fight for the fighter. So you know, and a lot of managers don't have that kind of nuance, that kind of understanding, and they're ruining their fighter's career, unfortunately.
I really think, and I have a question, one more British boxing question, and then we got to talk about the Tyson and Paul fight. But in terms of matchmaking, and I really think a lot of managers and promoters should not just rely on themselves, or promoters shouldn't rely on just their in-house matchmaker, but I think they should call experts, people like yourself, and say, hey, what do you think? Don't rely on their own knowledge, especially because it is a craft. There's great managers who will never be great matchmakers. I think there are great promoters who will never be great matchmakers. You have to rely on someone who actually just lives that every single day, in my opinion, or as a fighter. Joe Joyce, the Juggernaut, that's his, in my opinion, he was fighting the guy from China, the big
Zhang.
Zhang. He fought him twice, and in my opinion, he shouldn't have fought him the first time. Because to me, without that fight, he's right in line for a big title shot, probably in Saudi, against one of Usyk or Dubois or a Joshua or a Fury. I think he could have waited and got one of those fights and honestly gotten paid for everything he's put into the sport. And I do think he needed some more development because he's got so much talent. He has such a great chin. Long story short, why put him in there with Zhang? And then after he gets destroyed, honestly, and I'm not talking trash, it's just if you watch the fight, he took a real bad beating. You put him in there with him again, and I heard him talking the other day, and it seems like he's taking some damage. I felt like that was some of the worst management that I've ever seen. Did it make a great, exciting fight for the promoter? Absolutely. From a management standpoint, I'm scratching my head. That just didn't make sense with all the potential that guy had. He was so exciting to watch.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
So George Joyce is an interesting one. Funny that you mention him because I have actually, when I announced that I'm coming back to management, some people connected with him actually. So it's funny that you mentioned his name.
So much potential.
But that's one of the guys that I've looked at and I've reached out to, like when he was coming up, before they make a mistake, before they make these errors, because I was like, fundamentally, he's wearing people down, but technically I could see what was wrong from before the Zhang fight. And I was like, boy, we need to fix, want to fix that. So the problem is, you're like, why don't they bring outside people in? It's like a marriage, and you want to bring hey, let's have a threesome. No, it's not going to happen because it's so emotionally. People are so emotionally invested in. This is like maybe your brother or your uncle or a friend or somebody who's like part of the team that's grown with it. And everyone's a threat. So anybody on the outside is a threat. Like I said, I knocked on the door with Dubois people, and I have good relationship with Don Charles and all that. And the only reason why I probably didn't get because we don't want Audley to come with his name and then try to take over. Yeah. Because what I was telling them, everything I was telling them, they were like, Audley, do you have a spy in camp or something? The stuff that you're telling us, that's exactly what we're doing. I was spot on. And so when I'm looking at George Joyce, I'm like, technically he's beating people up, but technically he needs to fix some stuff if he's going to move up. And so when he moved up, then obviously now he's got hurt, and he's fallen, snakes and ladders. Yeah. So what is he going to do? The question is, what does he do now? Because I still want to fight. I still want to come. You can't do the same things that you were doing before.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this repeatedly, and this is why I've come back, because those are the kind of guys that I think I can help the big time, because managerially I can match them in the right fight, and I can fight for them and protect them when the promoters say, no, you got to fight this fight, because it's a balance between the manager and the promoter, and you got to have a relationship, but you've got to know that what's the right for my fighter. And it ain't about money, it ain't about rushing. Too many fighters right now in this generation are being rushing.
Yep.
They're not doing it the right way, too quick. And, you know, like Joshua came up real quick, but he learned on the job. And he got there. Okay, he fell a couple of times, but we all fall. Lennox fell a couple. We all fall. Lennox when he had Razor Ruddock early, you know, and he blitzed through Ruddock, and then
he had the guy.
He had the fall with Lennox early on lost
the guy from Chicago.
Yeah, he lost to Lennox. Lost to the first fight. It was a shock. It was a shocker. Lennox. Everyone was shocked.
Emmanuel Stewart was in the other guy's corner.
Yeah. Oh my God. How can I've lost?
Oh no, we're gonna get this right now.
No. Lennox's first fight. He blitzed Razor Ruddock, which was great, and then he got the surprise stoppage against.
I'm gonna tell you right now. Hold on.
No, oh my God, how can I not?
Oliver McCall.
Oliver McCall.
Oh, you're talking. Oh, sorry. Oliver McCall. To me, was his first knockout loss, but you're talking about one of his other wins.
Yeah, no. So Oliver McCall was the knockout loss to that Lennox's. Yeah, that Lennox lost to McCall, and then he got him back in the rematch. So when Lennox lost, then he got a chance to like correct, because he was like learning on the job still. Lennox won his title in like 16 or 7 against Tony Tucker, and so it was early. So he still had to learn, and he had to change trainers. And when he went to Emmanuel Stewart, it finished him off.
Yep.
Same as Vladimir Klitschko. He lost to Corey Sanders early on. He lost to Ross Purity early on.
Yeah.
He went to Emmanuel Stewart and finished him off. So it's okay to go to different trainers if you still got that learning.
Yeah.
You know, like me, I moved from Theld, I went to Buddy, and I was still like learning, and they finished you off.
Yeah.
So it's okay to do that, but a lot of the fighters now, they're like, the team, like the manager, to hell no, we're not bringing nobody in. But I think what you said is a good thing to get some of these eyes to look at it, because that's what you do in business. Like in business, they say link with people smarter than yourself. You know, surround yourself with people smarter than yourself. You don't want to be the boss. Like, okay, people say I was the boss, but every boss that I had, every person around me was equally or smarter than me. Like Al Heyman, Al Heyman was my advisor when I came to America. You know, I had Colin McMillan, who was a former world champion. And he is somebody who had fought the system as his own manager.
Yeah.
I had him managing me. So people that could help me. Jess Hardy, my promoter, had been a promoter for 10 years. So I didn't just do it blindly. And then I built my team around that with these experts in place, you know?
And by the way, just to so you were right. He had Razor Ruddock, and then he had Tony Tucker, which you just said. Uh-huh. Then he fought Frank Bruno, then Phil Jackson, then Oliver McCall, took the loss. Then he got with Emmanuel Stewart to finish him off, and then he went on a tear
after that, yeah.
And then the only person to get him was Hasim Rahman, which he did look silly but it was a freak accident, and he came back and destroyed Hasim.
Well, I wouldn't say it was a freak accident. I would say what happened was Lennox was like when you cut corners with preparation. And it's not Hasim Rahman. I can beat Hasim Rahman. So Lennox was in Vegas. He was filming Ocean's 11. So he added that in. Normally you would never do that. Like I've taken those kind of risks. But like if you think, I can beat this guy. So Lennox when filmed in Vegas for Ocean's 11, filmed his part. Then he flew to South Africa. South Africa's altitude. Okay. Hasim Rahman was in altitude 6 weeks, done it the right way. I used to have my training camps in Big Bear. Lennox would train in wherever he trained.
Hasim went there early?
He went early. He trained out there 4 weeks. He was ready like Freddie for this moment. Lennox went there 10 days out. So I think altitude tore him up.
Yeah.
Wasn't as prepared, wasn't as ready, and he got caught with a beautiful. You know, he was lackadaisical and got caught
on the ropes.
And then he fixed that the payback. He called it the payback, and he went and fixed that. And he was like with Emmanuel Stewart, and he came out there ready like Freddie. You know, and that's the kind of mentality that I took into my second fight with Danny Williams, like payback. Ready like Freddie. And I think that's what Joshua, why he doesn't want to retire, because I feel like he has that kind of ready like Freddie in him.
So you know? I know you have a hard stop in a little bit, so I want to make sure we talk about this past weekend, and then if we can go back to British boxing, because we got to talk Tyson Fury real quick. But last week, Mike Tyson.
Well, let me just throw one thing in before you throw. Let me just throw. actually finishing off the talk about the heavyweights in the UK, I live in America now. I've lived in America since 2007, right? Full time since I was in 2004. So I am here in America, and we have like you just said, we have plenty of heavyweights. We have a production line because of that Olympics and because of the funding. We have a whole heap of guys staying amateur longer, coming through as a pro better. So we have that system fixed. The system that's broken right now is America. We need to find an American heavyweight.
Amen.
It's not, it's like, because I'm here in America. Where is the next heavyweight coming from America? Where's the next Deontay Wilder? Where's the next Mike Tyson? Where's the next Holyfield? Where's the next Riddick Bowe? Where's the next Shannon Briggs? There's so many. Where are they?
I still feel like we have some of the best athletes in the world, but they're not in boxing.
They're not in boxing. So that's what needs to happen, right? That's what we need to find, an American heavyweight that can be brought through, because I'm here. You get me? I've been here, my wife, my business. This is home. So, like I said, Michael King tried to find the heavyweight. You got people basketball, but it has to be young, ideally like young enough, like we can develop.
Yeah.
Like, because like I said, I have everything here. I can't go back to England right now. It's not practical with my wife, my kids, my whole business.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? But an American that could be charismatic, that has the potential to cross over.
You know, I'm
looking for that person. I'm telling you, I'm looking for that person because.
I'm glad you said it. I'm
I'm looking because there's somebody. There's like I said, I walked away from the game, and there's a reason why I've come back to the game, and there's. Like, it's crazy how the universe works. Look where I am. I'm here talking to you. I know you box. You went out and boxed. It's crazy but I am looking to guide somebody to a championship.
Well, we need to have a talk about this offline because I'm here. But I think more importantly, it's not more importantly, but something I want to talk about. It's interesting. So we have this like gym here in Calabasas, and I really think this would be a great place to develop championship boxers because, number one, we have a great training staff, Kelly, who's a nutritionist, and so on and so forth. I think a great facility. We're about to update it. Hiking, running, you can train all year round. You're here. I actually think, and people can focus. We're out in the hills. I think this would be one of the greatest places just to bring all types of fighters to come here and develop. But if you're listening, we're looking for a heavyweight, and you heard the man.
Looking for a heavyweight.
And to your point, and my father used to say this all the time. He says, boxing lives and dies by the health of an American heavyweight, all ships rise. When we have a big, captivating American heavyweight, and we saw it this weekend, Mike Tyson, who was one of the last big heavyweights to capture everybody's imagination, gets in the ring at age 58, 65 million households, over 100 million people watching at the same time. The biggest live stream boxing event ever. I think only second to the Rumble in the Jungle. So it still shows when you have an American heavyweight in the ring, the world will watch. While we're talking about it, what do you think about what happened this weekend? There's a lot of criticism. I love, like, there were sponsorships. There was a full stadium. There was Netflix making history, being the first platform to live stream something like that. I like it for those reasons, but there's a lot of criticism. What do you think?
So, there's a saying, like, everyone's got opinions, everyone's got arseholes, it's like, can't be guided by that. You have to be guided by you, and I think one thing I'm, like, so impressed about with the Pauls, like Logan Paul and Jake Paul, they seem to be like marketing geniuses. And people like underestimating of how powerful they've come from, just like YouTubers. They're people like you, and KSI is the same in the UK. Like, these people have monetized their audience to the umpteenth degree. It hasn't been seen before. The way that these guys are monetizing their audience in such ways that it's just like galvanizing the whole community. And now what they've done, like taking somebody like, all right, Mike Tyson is his own person. Mike Tyson is somebody who everybody hated him. Like, he's the worst person ever. And he rebuilt himself. Okay,
Yep.
I remember I went to the first Spike Lee was behind. I went to the first Mike Tyson audience with Mike Tyson in Vegas.
Really?
It was sold out. It was in the Thomas and Mack Center, 10,000 people.
Thomas
Normally
and
you go there for boxing. Went there for it was amazing. It was a 90-minute stand-up. and he held it. He didn't miss up and it was amazing. So that was the start of it. He done a world tour. I mean, he done a tour, Mike Tyson tour. So he done that. So they've rebuilt Mike. Then you saw him in a movie.
Yep.
And everybody was loving Mike Tyson. So he great. They done an amazing job on him.
He had that Broadway show.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he's somebody that crossed over in his career. The youngest heavyweight champion ever. He became a phenom worldwide.
Yep.
So never going to forget that. Then you got Jake Paul now with his market, and he's built himself. So you put that together. That's called, like in marketing terms, that's like the snowball effect.
Yeah.
Where it's like me when I came up for the Olympics. I couldn't control the avalanche. Once it started, the snowball effect just took a life of itself.
Yep.
That's what you saw with Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight. It took a world of its own. So by the time it got to the event itself, like you say, everything
Huge.
crashed. They couldn't even handle it.
Yeah.
It beat expectation because it's an avalanche now.
So real quick, because I know you have to go, and thanks again for coming on. Last question, just real quick, if you could script what goes on in the heavyweight division for the next 6 to 8 months, how would you script it? And what I mean is, we have Tyson Fury versus Usyk, we have Joshua potentially coming back, Dubois hanging around. Like, if this could happen, if you could just script it perfectly for the culture, the boxing culture, how would you script it? Who beats who, and what's the big fight that ends up at the end of next year? Deontay's still out there.
Trying to pick that right now with so many unknowns is a beautiful thing, but I'm gonna give it my best shot. So Usyk is the guy there he's the guy, right? He's beaten everyone they've put in front of him, and he hasn't made a mistake.
Yep.
But I think Mr. Tyson Fury has a chance to upset Usyk in this fight. The reason why I say that is because technically, I think if Tyson's in great shape, Usyk is a guy that likes to fight at pace. He likes to fight at pace, switch off. At pace, switch off. If you can fight Usyk at a high pace, and Tyson has that tempo, he can fight him at a high pace, high tempo, and don't let him rest and go head and body, and don't let him dictate the pace, which means you've got to be in a high condition, in which Tyson Fury does that. He does get himself in great condition. If he gets himself in great condition, which I think he's going to be able to push Usyk like nobody's ever pushed him, and he's going to be able to outlast him. He's got to fight him like there was a guy called Ray McCulloch, the Pocket Rocket.
Yeah.
And he was trained by Phil Torrance, and he just non-stop punches. He's got to throw, if he throws a higher output, that would be my a higher punch output on the move, he will beat Usyk. So that's my first prediction.
Okay.
Tyson Fury wins. So he's on top of the world.
Great.
Now, he has the chance. Dubois is not taking Joshua. So then you have Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. So that fight gets made in the summer because Joshua, people are going to love that fight.
Yep.
Dubois takes his fight in February, gets his win. Deontay Wilder comes back with a warm-up. Deontay Wilder comes back, fights Dubois.
Man.
The only one who's going to be complaining is Joe Parker. He's going to be like, hell no, I'm not sitting around. They'll pay him step-aside money.
Yeah.
Joe Parker will get step-aside money, and he'll come back into the mix, and he'll fight the winner of
Deontay.
Joshua. No, he'll fight the winner of Joshua and Tyson Fury.
Bro.
So that's how I see next year could play out. And I want to be involved in one of those camps.
Man, well, number one, you need to be involved in one of those camps. But number two, you need to be advising promoters, because if that lineup, if that happened, that would be so exciting next year.
Be amazing for the heavyweight division and all the other divisions. What's happening with the involvement of. It'd be remiss if we didn't mention what's happening in with Saudi and how that
they revived the sport.
The Excellency
Turkey.
The Excellency Turkey. What he's done to the game in terms of like buying a Ring magazine, in terms of like all these fights over there, like the best of the best fighting. So like all of the division, like Terence Crawford and just boxing's in a great place right now, and it just needs to like get in the mainstream, and it's just about people doing their jobs, like the marketing, like getting them on the right TV shows still. It's like the old school marketing is still there, like build a fighter in your city, get the crowd behind him from the city, then you go and conquer your country. Old school. It's got to go back to that.
And amen to His Excellency. He's done. He's created a lot of great fights quickly. Mm-hmm. He's honestly pointed a lot of great fighters into potential retirement. But he's made the sport exciting again. He just put a a focal point on it. Everybody's focused on boxing again, and he did it by putting his money, putting his money up.
Yeah,
So thank
put
you.
his money there, and we're getting like best of the best fighting, and it's like causing other people in the industry to put the best together.
Yep.
So it's been a positive thing, and now we can compete. Nobody can, like, UFC has its crowds doing amazing, but boxing has its crowd, and
Yep.
we're having 10,000 people, 15,000 people,
70.
in there, 70,000 for the stadium.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing that boxing's had a good comeback. You know, it's not only the comeback story of a one fighter. It's the whole game.
The whole industry, man.
Yeah, it's great.
Yo, man, thank you for coming. I know you got to run.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, thank you, man.
That was a great
I
discussion.
enjoyed it. Thank you, man. Thank you. And hey, get there. Let's see what's going on.
All right.
I know you want to come back, and yeah, it's boxing. I'm excited. I've got so much knowledge, and just want to, I want to help the right people who even if they just want to like go for it, like get it off their back.
Yeah.
You know, how far can I go?
How far can I go? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, let's see.
All right, man. I'll be reaching out to you on that, man.
All right, man.
Thanks
sure.
again, man. We'll be back. Take care. All right, cool.